Hey y'all, I'm Raina Harper, and welcome to EveRe-Watch Way, where I podcast a spell that takes a hold of you, for the show where I reminisce and recap the Nickelodeon fantasy series Every Which Way. We cover every episode of the show here, and I go into detail on everything relating to what happens in the show, what I remember from keeping up with it as a fan in 2014 and 15, and all the fun knowledge and banter I can bring in with it. So, today I'm actually feeling pretty lonely, so here's a spell that I made up to resolve that. When I'm by myself, I can't last, so summon a friend into the podcast. Whoa, someone's here. My great friend, birthday twin, and preschool educator extraordinaire, Monet.
Hello.
Hey Monet, thank you so much for coming on. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. Thank you for having me. We also have another guest with us that you might hear throughout.
Oh yeah?
My puppy Samson.
Hi Samson. Man, I hope Samson doesn't get too aggressive with the monkey that's gonna come in later on here. If you know these episodes, I mean, if you heard the title of the episodes that we're going to talk about today, we're talking about Monkey Business and Monkey Business 2, episodes 6 and 7 of season 1. So to get started here, Monet, you're a newbie to this show, right?
Yes.
So I'd love to know first, how are you feeling about it? What did you think of these episodes thus far?
I thought it was pretty cute. It was around episode 2 I started getting into the whole nostalgia of it all, and
Mm-hmm. It's
so then I could
aesthetic.
just appreciate it. Yeah, just appreciate it for what it was, and it was pretty cute, I think.
For sure. I mean, it definitely has the vibe of like being a lower budget and like being derivative of plenty of other things, but but like as a younger teenager, I was certainly able to like be drawn into it nonetheless. So glad
Yeah.
you enjoyed it decently.
Yeah, it definitely took me back to like when I was a little kid watching shows that were very similar. So,
So glad you were able to watch all of the episodes leading up to these two today. I um and so you did did these did these two episodes you think continue the status quo of quality that you'd come to expect up to there?
my honest opinion,
Sure, yeah.
I'm glad that I watched the other ones first because I don't think that I would have been able to enjoy episode 6 and 7 as much as I did if I hadn't already known the characters.
Oh yeah, very fair.
Like, that was like a wild throw in point. Like, I think that's the wildest episode up to um, that this point.
Yeah, there's like so much going on in these two.
I would have been very lost.
So yeah, let's get started in talking about these two episodes, Monkey Business 1 and 2. So and so at this point, as we reached in the cliffhanger of the previous episode, Emma is backstage during Tony giving a magic show at the Seven. She knocks over a vase and she uses a spell to fix it, and Tony bum 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 saw her cast a spell. What did you think at this point was going to happen there?
I definitely thought he was gonna be a wizard, I guess. Are the guys wizards in the show?
Yes, we don't find that out until season 2. What males with magic powers are called, but yeah, they're called
Got
wizards.
you. Okay, I thought that he was gonna be magical himself because he seemed a little bit unfazed by what he had just seen. But
Yeah.
if I could caveat into like a broader observation that I've made, all of the kiddos are pretty unfazed by the magical stuff that happens around them.
Oh
But
yeah.
also, like in the first couple of episodes, this cracked me up is that they would be so unfazed by this thing that just happened, like, oh yeah, that magic just happened. But then like
Yeah.
so opposed to the idea that like especially Emma was so opposed to the idea that she could be a witch. Like witches aren't real and magic isn't
Yeah.
real, but yeah, that magical
No,
thing
magic's
totally
not
just
real.
happened.
Yeah, the lamp, it was just my imagination, right?
Yeah. And so I don't know, I just thought that was pretty silly. I
Yeah.
was giggling at it.
Yeah, a lot of silly reactions, and these man, these episodes do not disappoint on that front. Um, we'll get to it, especially when Maddie comes in a bit later. But yeah, so it turns out Tony just thinks that it was a regular magic trick, like fake stage magic, and it's like a fake out here, and so Emma makes up that this vase trick. She as it as becomes pretty par for the course, especially with these two episodes, like way more than anywhere thus far. That she has to come up with like an awkward excuse and like that like way more awkward than anyone else would ever be, like trying to cover things up. And she says like I got it from Trick Martopolis Palooza. Trick Martopolis Palooza, yeah. But then after that, Tony is like, "Wow, that's really exciting. Like you're good at magic, and like we could do a whole show together." But then he's like, "Once you learn a thing or two from me, of course." And I'm like, "All right, Tony, lay off the self grandeur there."
I thought it was silly. He did his little Debbie Ryan with that line delivery, and I thought it was goofy.
Like as long as you learn a thing or two from me, of course.
Yeah,
I think I did it. Invoked my inner Debbie Ryan right there.
for sure,
Um,
for sure.
And then Emma is. Oh, by the way, this whole time, an entire crowd of people are cheering for Tony to come out, like chanting "Tony, Tony." So Emma literally pushes Tony out the door, which I thought was pretty funny. And then Andy comes out in her ridiculous outfit, which she says looks like Willy Wonka, and calls Tony "Who dumbed me." Emma confesses to Andy like how it was a pretty lucky break that he happened to see her, but then be just think it was stage magic. Which yeah, and then she pushes Andy out on stage too in the ridiculous looking high heels and well wedges rather and the bow tie and the gold suspenders. Didn't that outfit just look the worst?
Not worse than the Nicki Minaj episode throwback.
Oh yeah, yeah, fair enough. Yeah, I yeah, I don't think Emma has room to talk. So Andy goes out and is introduced as the Great Magini by Tony, and everyone's like awkwardly like okay and like little applause and whatever, and and the, boy, I don't know what he was thinking here. He attempts to make an entire carton of eggs disappear inside a bag. He like crushes them. He's like, look, the eggs are now disappeared. Andy says, "Are you sure about that?" And he's like, "Yeah, I'm so sure I can do this." And then dumps all the egg yolks and shells onto her head. Man, is this might be up there in like the top five most like cringe moments in any fiction, like a secondhand embarrassment.
I like the delusion that he like maintained hope that somehow the eggs would disappear and just
Yeah.
kept going with it. It was like, yes, absolutely they are. They have disappeared. I'm going to pour this now and it's all just gonna work out. I love that
Yes.
for him.
Yeah. I hope Andy eventually gives him what's coming to him for that one. Meanwhile, at the Van Pelt mansion, I wonder what Maddie's mom must do for a living in order to afford that place. Uh, it's has there been any inkling to you like regarding that?
Not necessarily. She does have a lot of free time to follow men around though, so I'm assuming it's something where she's her own boss.
Yeah, for sure. Or at maybe like living off the savings of like a wealthy husband who like she divorced or passed away or something.
Oh, true. We don't know anything about Maddie's dad, do we?
Yeah, like he's never been mentioned once as far as I know. At
Well,
least the
he was vaguely alluded to in episode one
oh was
when
he?
when Maddie's
I must have
mom
forgot.
first met Emma's dad, and
Oh
he
right.
was
Oh
like,
oh
"Hey,
I'm divorced.
I'm divorced."
I
That
mean
was one of the
Ursula.
moments.
Ursula.
That was one of the moments that made me laugh out loud. I there's well, that was one of the moments.
So Maddie's mom is ready to give Maddie a lesson on magic, but she has more urgent problems to deal with. Daniel and Emma being all lovey-dovey. Can't have that. So before Maddie leaves, though, she impresses her mom with her spellcasting abilities, like changing clothes, stealing shoes off another student, and her ability to teleport. So Maddie's clearly getting more powerful, and like compared to like a couple episodes ago where her spells like didn't work at all. And before Maddie leaves, though, Ursula asks her to closet her so that she can go and visit Francisco again.
When the mom was like, closet me, and Maddie was like, okay, and then she cast a spell and the closet doors were locked, I was thinking she just locked her mom in the closet.
Oh, fair enough. But oh, can I come out now? Bang, bang, bang. Maddie, where are you? Well, she does get out later, I guess. But I'd love to have seen that scene when Maddie gets back. That could have been funny. Um, so Matt, oh my God, this whole thing, I was like, I got so mad at this part. Maddie teleports the seven. She just appears in a crowded room and no one notices. Like in a puff of magic smoke and everything, no one notices. She walks up to Sophie and she does like a long, slow spit take in her face, like drawn out, like. Even though her Maddie coming in like took a good few seconds to walk up to Sophie. It like wasn't startling at all. Like to Sophie's perspective, Maddie could have easily just walked in. Like she wasn't paying attention. Do you subscribe to the idea that like Sophie is just acting as dumb as she is?
I definitely did create that headcanon because it's the only explanation for some of the stuff that's going
Oh
on
yeah,
up there.
yeah. Because because like later in these two episodes she knows French phrases like "c'est la vie."
She actually says occasionally something that's really insightful or really just
Mm-hmm.
like, helpful. And so I
Yeah.
can't believe that I think that, yeah.
So Sophie let slip that Katie stole the pie, which Maddie had intended to use on Daniel, and use it for herself on Mac and Diego to get them to love her. And Maddie, of course, is of course really mad at Katie in this moment. But then she gets distracted from that. She butts in on Emma and Daniel chatting, and she insists that she's a loyal friend to Tony indignantly. Like I've been friends since forever. Yeah, and oh my god, this is what like there's a subtle moment here that I really love and like laugh at a lot. She tries she tries to say that she knows Tony's last name and like whispers
Oh, yeah.
to her other Panthers. It's like what made me laugh isn't what Sophie says. It's the fact that Katie tries to say it, but then Sophie like says it first, and then it's like and the face that Katie makes, like oh my god, you just said something really stupid. It's like ah. It's like it like lasts 0.2 seconds, but it's like one of my favorite things. Did you notice this?
I didn't notice that actually. I'll have to go back and rewatch.
Like just like pay attention to like when Sophie says like his last name is the Tiger, and Katie's sitting next to her and was like clearly trying to like actually say Tony's last name, but then couldn't. Uh, it was so good. And then yeah, his last name is the Tiger. And so then Maddie makes a demanding drink order of like a soda with like five fake sugars and a bendy straw and a little pink umbrella, please. And as Daniel walks off, Maddie and Emma do an identical resting head on the hand and look away, like in opposite directions. I thought that was pretty good. So Tony is still doing his magic act, and when Tony calls for volunteers, Maddie drags herself and Emma up, and she does the Disneyland wave, like because she's just trying to get attention.
The Queen Wave.
Yes, the Queen wave, and and exactly. And she definitely is wanting to rob Emma of any spotlight. Like she initially refuses to get in the saw in half box, but then does.
It begs a question for me. Why did you drag her on stage in the first place?
She wanted to get one over on Emma, like I'll force you to do this and like humiliate yourself. But then when Emma might get some positive attention, she's like, "Oh, I'm gonna get that instead." Actually,
Gotcha.
Maddie's such a good person. Am I right? Like, remember in episode 2, she like made sure that Emma was locked in the bathroom at a time when smoke was filling up the school.
Yeah.
Like Like what a psychotic thing to do. Like
Fair.
like as smoke is filling up the school and the three of them should have been running away. They're like, oh no, we got to make sure that Emma's trapped in here. We got to pull on the door. All three of us. That was insane. Um,
Yeah. When you contextualize it like that, yeah.
so Maddie gets in the saw in half box in order to rob Emma of any spotlight, and so he does the sawing in half thing, and Maddie's like feeling all scared, but then he does it. He like splits it in half to show that they are supposedly indeed sawed in half. But then Tony loses control, and Maddie's half crashes into the wall and collapses. And she gets up, like feeling like acting all dazed and like being in pain, like what's going on? Ow! And on the other side, the leg side, Mac gets out. It turns out he was the legs. I thought that was pretty funny, like showing his hairy legs with the pink flats.
Oh yeah, that was the fact that they were so obviously like not her legs. I wrote that down, just making me laugh out loud.
But like, how did they know that that would be the right thing? Like, for because they didn't know that Maddie, like it was a like random volunteer thing. How did they know that it was gonna be her, and like that the pink flats would be
But I
appropriate?
think that they knew it would be a general girl. If anything, they thought it would be Andy, right?
Yeah, Maddie fakes being hurt, and but the next day at school, Andy is like ranting about Maddie's fakery and mocking her for having done that for years. Like as we've previously established, Andy knows all of Maddie's tricks, even before the magic was involved. But now that Emma is seen as a magician by Tony, her popularity is down like with the goth kids, and Andy does a clever joke, um, like they're so 2005. I wouldn't be caught dead dressing like the undead.
It
Did that make you laugh?
did. That was funny.
Yeah, it's apparently yeah, that's the kind of thing that I would like keep in my back pocket for years and like just try out sometime. Uh, just a pun wordplay that way. But then bum bum bum, Emma is summoned to the evil principal's office. But meanwhile, before we get to that, Maddie lashes out at Katie for her transgression. This is a scene where I really like start to like just personally, I start to like lose a bit of respect for Katie. Just like have some self respect. Uh, like she grovels for Maddie's help and forgiveness so that her problem with Mac and Diego will end. Like, I didn't do anything. Oh, actually, you figured me out, and nothing will ever fool you.
I mean, I get it. Like that's the only person that can break the spell that has these boys acting like little 4-year-olds over you. I totally get it. I'm not gonna lie. You tell the person
Sure.
what they want to hear, break the curse. And it also seems like that's the dynamic of their friendship is just like there was a moment where Maddie said that she didn't know something about Katie that is like, how long have you guys been friends? And it's very much like a Maddie focused friendship anyways. So like
Oh yeah,
that seems to be their norm anyways. And I can't hold it against her because she's like 14.
yeah, for sure. She's made it so where like no one ever tells her no, except for like yeah, well, maybe sometimes Sophie, but then they always like write that off as being dumb, like or like and I'm not saying no, but like challenging what she says, I suppose. Um,
Yeah.
it's in this scene, I think, the moment you're talking about, where like how did you know that? Where um, so we'll get to that in a second, but Maddie, with particular relish this time, begins to cast a spell on Katie. Like I'm like, it's so nice when opportunity knocks. Turn Katie into, but then um, Nurse Lily walks in and instinctively, since she is like an authority figure, like towards Emma, and of course once and like is concerned about Maddie as well. She says like, "Hey, no doing spells in school. You should know that." Like, and she says that instinctively, but then then it's like an awkward moment of like, "Wait, how did you know what I was doing? How do you know like implicitly? How do you know about magic?" As I said before, like these episodes have a record in terms of the number of like awkwardly trying to smooth over situations by lying. And Lily does it the most successfully here out of everyone, I think. She says like, "Oh, spell is slang for fight where I come from." The way of like how they act and like try to like, what were we doing, Katie? Like the like
Oh yeah.
if anyone never talks that way, like you're instantly like called out for lying in real life.
Yeah.
What were we doing, Katie? And then Katie uses the leverage of the situation. So respect points back for Katie because she uses this pretty smartly. Um, to like, are we still friends who will like help each other out? Yeah. Shakes hands. That we were just LARPing.
I love that it was LARPing. I know
Yes.
a theater kid when I see a theater kid.
Oh, 100%. Man, I wish we we definitely need more of that. Like we need to see Katie's in her life.
Yes. Spin-off show for Katie, please.
Yes, we need more Katie focused storylines. When I
Yeah.
watched this, all those years ago as this aired, this was my first time hearing the term LARPing. So,
Oh, I
so
see.
I,
Yeah.
I wasn't enough of a theater kid yet, I suppose.
Fair.
We were going to the LARPing championship in Transylvania. And Lily's like, well, okay then. Good luck with that. And then leaves. That was a pretty good scene.
Yeah.
Um, and then as you said, like, how do you know about LARPing? How do you know so much about it? Um, anything else you want to add there with your perspective on it?
Only that that's the scene where I was like, Katie's my girl. I like Katie. She uses her leverage. She's a thinker. I understand her.
Yeah, I suppose that maybe with my more mature brain, I would have like handled the love spell situation a bit differently, but I don't know, can't falter too much. But meanwhile, uh, Emma is trapped in the principal's office and like lays on pretty hard that she knows that Emma's a witch because she is like, I want you to do a fun activity. We're gonna rhyme together. She picks up a copy of The Tragedy of Richard II. I wonder if is it giving too much credit to the show to like think that there might be like some like literary reference there, like, or was it just any random book? Do you think?
I wouldn't put it past a writer, no matter what the quality of their writing is, to make a literary reference, especially not one of that nature.
Sure, maybe like it like, ooh, I picked a book that like has a thematic reference like connotation to this situation.
Right.
The Richard III is like the principal being like evil, like undone by her own hubris or whatever. That seems like maybe it's possible. I don't know. I haven't read it. But yeah, she says, "Now you rhyme with me. I want to see this book turn green." And it's like such a weird thing on its face, but like with the context of Emma like being a witch and how creepy the principal is, like I definitely felt like all the squirming that she does. It's like, oh my god, I would die if I was in her shoes right here. Um,
Yeah.
but she texts Andy for help, who then barges in as a distraction. And I know that Lily's scene, like smoothing over her lie, was the most successful, but I think this one like takes the cake as the most ridiculous. Um, like, uh, how dare you come in here? It's like I needed to talk to you about. And then Emma pantomimes like trying to get direct Emma or Andy's story, and she's like, I need to talk to you about woodchucks, and like they're playing piano and chewing with their mouths open. Why is that where your mind went, Andy?
To be fair, Emma's pantomime game is not that strong.
Yeah, but and also like what was Emma trying to communicate? I couldn't
Yeah,
figure
I
that
still
out either.
couldn't I couldn't piece that one
Yeah.
together.
But then they hurriedly get out of there, and the principal lets them leave. Maddie decides to let Katie suffer a bit more before removing the spells, like just to make the lesson stick on Mac and Diego. Um, they spill a milkshake on her, and Sophie and Maddie are like, okay, now is the time. She reverses the spell, and then like Katie says like, you stink and you're boring, get out of my face. And then And then they're like, "How dare you talk to us like that?" And then they do an epic bro hug, like a super like quick like slapping their chests together.
My favorite line of the whole episode is in that scene, and it's Max's hygiene challenge.
Yes. That, that's well, like of course another dude is gonna make excuses for his dude friend stinking. It would be great if Mac and Diego were like started dating each other. That would be fun. Like a High School Musical 2 thing. You know what I'm talking about?
A High School Musical too. What?
Like the clearly the I don't dance number, like that was clearly meant to be
Oh, yes. Okay,
like
I see the line.
yeah, that was but because it's a kids show like run by Disney, they couldn't do that.
Fair.
Or yeah, under these set under these rules. Yeah.
Yeah.
But also, what did you make of like Sophie always has the same style of like out there like statement necklace. Like it's like in so many different colors. Did you notice this?
I actually did not.
Like most of
Uh-oh.
the time she wears like a turquoise colored one, and it's my headcanon that's New Mexico turquoise and in her necklace.
Fair.
I just choose to believe that. Because for all the listeners out there, the two of us went to the University of New Mexico. Emma's worried with Andy. They worried about the principal knowing about her secret. But then while they're looking through the hexagon at Emma's house, Daniel comes over, and they have to again awkwardly distract him from seeing the hexagon floating around. And and like like Emma is like sitting on the hexagon, but then it lifts her up like 6 feet above the couch, and so they have to like keep Daniel from looking at it. And then another one of my favorite jokes in the episode is when Emma says like, all right, Daniel, bye, drive safe." It's like, what?
Oh
I
yeah,
live across the street.
across the street. That was funny. I also liked how defensive he got about the distinction between his butterfly fear and his butterfly allergy.
Oh yeah, I'm sure he's been made fun of it a lot in his life.
Yeah.
That made a lot of sense to me. Like that he would be like, "Oh my god, for the last time, it's not me being afraid of tiny little butterflies. I'm actually allergic to them." Uh,
Fair.
yeah, that that's those were some of the funniest scenes of like the first couple episodes. I'm allergic to them, or like a
Yeah.
butterfly appearing like 8 feet away in a room and he starts sneezing. We learned a few episodes ago what Emma's pizza order is, and now we get to know Andy's pizza order: sausage, mushrooms, marshmallows, and cranberries. Do you think that was like meant to be like a running bit of like everyone orders disgusting pizza orders?
I I don't know.
Sure, but like, because you remember when Emma ordered an extra large with cheese, pineapple, spinach, and anchovies on a whole wheat crust, and she said
Mm,
it's a 5 food group pizza.
I see. I That bit went completely over my head. I don't think that I registered either of those moments as like continuing a bit.
Sure. Um, I thought those were like both pretty funny. Like, what did you order? Just the fact that Andy asked, "Did you order a pizza with cheese or sausage, mushrooms, marshmallows, and cranberries?" Like as if that's a normal thing for to
Yeah,
ask. That was
fair.
pretty good. Um, so Lily sneaks into the principal's office. She's suspicious about the principal too, of course, and uses a magical telescope to find out about the people transformed into frogs in the tank that the principal's keeping. She's
By
of
the
course,
way,
yeah.
craziest plot line in the entire show that the
Oh yeah,
principal just that first scene where she turned a kid into a frog,
yeah.
crazy. What is
Mm-hmm.
happening at this school and why aren't more people like aware and suspicious? Like that
Exactly.
means that entire people aren't going home every day and they're just sitting in an aquarium. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Also, the professor or the principal reminds me of Professor Umbridge.
Oh yeah. A lot for sure. She reminded me of the one mom from that '70s show. You know who I'm talking about?
Oh yeah, Kitty.
Yeah, like what? Why is the dog on the counter? She likes to be tall. Yeah, you know her.
Mhm.
Um, like when I watched this show for the first time, I genuinely thought they were the same actress, but they aren't. Um,
Fair enough. I can see it appearance wise.
yeah. Um, but she's Lily is seen by Coach Julio before she runs out, and so they're like mutually suspicious of each other at this point. Um, and and it's one of the last things that Lily is able to do in these two episodes before you know what happens pretty soon. Um, uh,
Okay.
Emma and Andy are discussing the hexer. They discuss leaving the hexerin at home while at school. Sophie listens in and then tells Maddie through her delirious code about them leaving the spell book at home. Like, giraffes hate horseshoes. Tells code for how it'll work. Blah blah blah. You make birthday cakes out of pickles and toenails. But
That
man,
was
so
my favorite line, and I actually thought that that was very sweet. I'm not gonna lie, you make birthday cakes out of pickles and toenails. And I wrote, how sweet to have a friend that can understand your nonsense. And
oh
like,
yeah,
it was really cute how excited she got that somebody understood her. Because I'm sure most
oh
people,
sure.
when she says something, just kind of brush her off and don't really think about it because they assume it's nonsense.
Then she has to breathe into a paper bag.
And
So
then
then
tries to eat it.
so right there, Maddie casts a spell to turn Lily into a monkey. She just like continuing the theme, just casts spells in the middle of a crowded room, and no one notices.
Yeah.
Um, everyone just has blindness to these things, I guess.
I think can I interject there though?
Yeah.
I think it's less that people have blindness and more that like in the first couple of episodes it was established that we are living in a universe where these characters will see some very buck wild things happen
Oh yeah,
and be
like
like there's a
raining in the
perfectly
hall.
yeah, and just like there's a perfectly logical explanation. So
Oh
like
yeah,
I can see them just being like there's a good reason for that. There's an explanation for that. I'm not going to question it.
yeah, just a magic puff of smoke coming out of that girl's hand. Whatever.
Hey, happens all the time. It was raining in the hallway last Wednesday.
Yeah, and Emma's dad being like, the house is on a slight tilt. That's why the thing moved.
Yeah.
And like sometimes we appear to see things happening in slow motion when we're stressed. That makes sense. Lily starts slowly turning into a monkey. She like notices a tail and then starts going like "Wah!" like involuntarily. That was I laughed pretty a lot at that moment. So 2 minutes before the end of the episode called Monkey Business, we bring in the monkey business. The transformation is slow, and so she calls Emma in to keep her from being seen. And Emma can't easily fix Lily because reversing another witch's spell is very difficult. Apparently, like this is our first inkling of that concept. That she and Andy have to handle it, and so Daniel, of course, as we transition into the next episode, comes over as at the worst possible time and like asking for bandages. Mac apparently cut out like had paper cuts all over his hands. Is that right?
Yes.
So he of course like catches wind of like Emma acting very strange, like no, nothing wrong is happening in there at all. Like come on, Emma, like be a little bit subtle. But also in this scene, he asks her to go to the beach with him and his friends after school, which she is of course eager to do. But you know, also is a bit wishful thinking given the situation they were just thrust into. Daniel tells his friends about the monkey noises he heard, and Katie overhears this and tells Maddie that her spell worked. So Emma she thinks of like tricking Maddie into reversing the spell. Yet another awkward excuse scene happens with Emma's dad when they're out in the hallway during class time. So man, drinking game with these two episodes on that front. It'd be like, yeah, it would be serious. So Daniel and his friends go to the beach, and Maddie tries to butt in. And this is another hilarious moment. Tony just shuts Maddie down. It's like, no, no, I think Daniel's texting Emma actually. And so Maddie casts a spell to essentially hack their text conversation and act as Emma, saying, "I'm too busy for you." Um, which, technically not wrong. Emma is too busy to go to the beach right now, and she didn't show up. Um, so Emma tries over and over with the Hexerin to change Lily back to no avail, only changing what animal she is. And Andy agrees to act sick the next with Ebola. Man, remember like around this time there was like or like a couple years after this there was an actual Ebola outbreak.
Yeah.
Oof. Emma is still worried, like through all this, like trying to keep the monkey secret. She's still worried that Daniel won't text her back. So Emma the next day psychologically tricks Maddie into revealing she transformed Lily and demands she change her back, but admits that she can't undo it or any of Maddie's spells herself. She lets slip that she has the Hexerin in revealing that she knows about the Chosen One's existence. Maddie already knows this. They had the Magic Fight Club episode scene over this, like fighting over the Hexerin 2 episodes ago.
Yeah.
You know this already. That you. Oh my god.
But I think it's more so like you have it on you, like with you.
She had it with her in that scene before too.
Oh. Well,
Like,
maybe Maddie's just a forgetful girl.
yeah. Yeah, she forgot Tony.
I absolutely have had the same conversation with somebody twice and not realized it. Like,
Sure. Yeah.
Maddie is one of my favorite characters, I have to be honest with you. And it sounds like you don't like her very much, but I will die on every hill for Maddie.
Okay. I'm more of an Andy stan, personally.
Fair. Maddie and Sophie are my favorites.
I'd say my two favorites are Andy and Lily. But anyway, we can get into that a bit later. So Maddie tries to summon the Hexerin with a spell, and it doesn't work. Like, just make the Hexerin appear in my hand. And, like, I don't think anyone watching this expected that to work. Maddie says that she won't help Emma get Lily back, and Emma says that she'll do it alone. So Andy is forced to bring the monkey to school with her. She says to Lily the monkey, "All right, guess the jig is up. We got to go back to school." And man, I really hope that doesn't throw a monkey wrench into things. I'm so sorry. So then we get what is definitely my favorite scene in these 2 episodes, and definitely in the top 3 of my favorite scenes in the show thus far. It's when Emma approaches Daniel at school as Locker to apologize. You remember this part?
Yes.
I'd say this might even top the grape catching scene in episode 3. Oh, did you find the grape catching scene endearing?
The grape catching scene?
Yeah, when he tosses grapes into her mouth.
Oh yeah, yeah.
That was pretty cute, huh?
Yeah.
So basically, Emma approaches Daniel and was like, "Can we talk?" And Daniel says that he's busy reorganizing his locker, basically out of frustration with her. He's like, I don't want to talk to you right now. I'm reorganizing my locker. It's a very detailed and time-consuming process. But, I think is pretty a relatable kind of coded language,
Sure.
Then Emma says that she knows what he means, as she does it weekly herself, and she ponders twice if it's been a really busy week, actually. And that moment softens his anger a bit. You can see him laugh a little bit, and I think that moment really resonated. It felt true,
Mm-hmm.
just having a bit of just tension and then softening with a bit of humor. I really like that. I'll in terms of emotional resonance, I'm sure I'm the only person to ever say this in human history, but I'm gonna compare it to a moment in a movie that you and I have watched, Monet. The bit in the L-shaped room when the main character is realizes to herself, yes, I have friends. It was it is just a clear, just subtle thing that relate a shift in a character's emotions. I thought it was pretty well done. Do you do, do you see where I'm coming from
I
there?
do, yeah, I do.
Yeah, Stop the Presses. Someone compared the Every Which Way episode Monkey Business 2 to the 1962 British film The L-Shaped Room. That's just, my mind works in strange ways a lot of the time. Uh, but Emma starts to explain things a bit more, saying, yesterday things were really just bananas. I see what you did there, Emma. Um, but so Daniel at least is opening up to talking to her, and he just wants to know, like, why have you been acting so weird? But and what's a bit heartbreaking is that she can't fully explain it, because then that would open the door to, like, well, there was a monkey and there was magic involved, and, like, yeah. Then she sees Andy bring the monkey back in, and she has to, like, distract Daniel yet again. She's like, oh my god, I can't explain things right now. And Daniel is like, what, really? Why are you being like this? Come on, just like talk straight with me, please, for once. But she promises over and over that she'll explain things at a certain point. So Katie and Sophie, they notice Andy with the monkey. They hold their arms out, like trapping Andy and the monkey in there until they can get Maddie to hold it hostage. Then Emma gets there and notices the situation. Then once Maddie finally gets there, the monkey is gone. Like Sophie had been holding the monkey, and Maddie's like, wait, what happened? And Sophie's like, the monkey just like got really self-conscious or whatever and just ran off. C'est la vie. It's like we said earlier, Sophie like suddenly knowing all the smart phrases to say.
Yeah.
As a consequence of Daniel like really being really just not being taken with Emma anymore, he's feeling really turned off by her, and during class he feels a dilemma here because Tony approaches Daniel and asks his permission if he can pursue Emma romantically himself, and he looks like stone faced about it for a second. It's like as if to say like that's my girl, but then he's like, you know what? Actually, nah, I don't need to put up with or maybe you had a different read on this than me, but he was like, nah, I don't need to deal with this. Like, sure, Tony, like if you want to like pursue her, then go for it. Did you think that was how he felt there?
Probably, yeah, most likely. That makes sense to me.
That was like a kind of bittersweet moment. It's like another moment of like seeing how genuine and like warm Daniel can be, like and like how he can be like supportive of his friends, but also it's like, well, it's like showing how he's like, well, all this weird stuff with Emma is like taking a toll. He's like not as interested in her anymore. So I found that a bit affecting. Diego, meanwhile, in a different class, at Mac's urging, shows his fireballs like that he can generate out of his hand. He's like to a girl that he has a crush on, like, what, you want to see something cool? And he like starts fireballs in his hand, and she like freaks out, like, what happened to your hands? And she immediately like dumps the whatever chemicals they're using in the chemistry class to put him out. You know how wrong that could have easily gone. Like you never, that girl apparently like never listened during any of the safety instructions.
To be fair, you're 14 years old and some guy is shooting fireballs out of his hand to impress you. I might dump a couple chemicals too on accident.
It seemed to me like she was like trying to like assuming they were like water to put it out or something, and that could have like easily like again put the whole school up in smoke. Like could have been, toxic this time.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Which begs the question, where is the chemistry teacher?
Just out of the room at that point, I guess.
Like, are we not watching these? Like, that's just my teacher perspective. Who is watching these children?
Right? Yeah. Yeah. There should have been someone in the room watching over things. Like even if like if the teacher had to leave for a minute, like bring in another teacher just to supervise things briefly.
Especially if they have open containers of chemicals.
Yeah, and all sorts of different color chemicals. We know that the liquid they used on set was just water, but with food coloring or whatever. But yeah, they need to up the safety standards in this school. I bet it's the principal's doing actually. She seems pretty lax when it comes to safety regulations. Like as we prove it pretty soon in this episode, she like gets upset when someone calls animal control. That scene ends. Then Ursula just shows up at school in order to pursue Mr. Alonso, and she's noticed by Maddie. She's like, "What are you doing? You're gonna embarrass me," or like, "Stop being creepy and pursuing Mr. Alonso that way. You're being weird." But I guess like ultimately, she's like doesn't get in the way of it too much. Yeah, that'll definitely not result in any consequences down the line of Ursula asking Mr. Alonso to the book club that she's just made up. And then the monkey gets loose in the school. People see it, and Mr. Alonso calls animal control, as I said, to which the principal gets mad and was like, she's like instinctively like, "Hey, you weren't supposed to do that without my express permission. Get me the student rule book," and he was like, "Well, yeah, he's right. I mean, obviously, you should be like a teacher should be able to call animal control if there's an emergency. That would be a nightmare if you like actually had to reach the principal first."
Oh, fair enough.
As the school where you work ever had a monkey on the loose incident?
We actually have several hundred monkeys running around at all times.
Oh, makes sense. Yeah. Yeah. That's. Yeah. I haven't been at an elementary school in a while, and I know that's par for the course these days. I've heard.
Yeah.
So they call the school to evacuate, but of course Emma and Andy know about like the nature of the monkey, so they try and corner the monkey Lily, but they're noticed by Emma's dad, who are like, "Hey, you two, get out of here! You're not supposed to be in the school. You should be evacuating." And so it seems like they'll have to evacuate before they can resolve Lily's situation. What will happen there? Cliffhanger. Bum bum bum. And that is where we leave off on our 2 episodes.
Ooh.
Monkey Business 2. They didn't resolve the monkey business just yet. I wonder how that'll go.
I wonder what the next episode is going to be named. Probably nothing to do with monkeys at all, which is so funny.
Right. Like, that's a theme I've noticed with these episodes. Like, the business relating to the title of the episode is, like, introduced in, like, the very last 30-second scene.
Uh-huh.
And it's like, you should have just moved that episode title to the next one where they actually deal with that thing, know like the previous episode shouldn't have been called Monkey Business, like, since that only appears in like the last 2 minutes. You should have called it something really to do with like Tony, like Magic Mix Up or something.
Yeah.
or like and then just call this next episode Monkey Business. Just have that be it. So as we reach the end of this episode, are there any other things that you want to bring up that you noticed about these episodes as a whole?
I would just like to say, maybe it's not pertinent to these episodes specifically, but in general, I would like to stand on my little soapbox and say that Maddie is, and I will die on this hill, a neurodivergent witch who has showed great potential but is being raised by a narcissist. And I can't fault her for a lot of her behavior because she is 14, and I wish her the best.
Oh yeah, for sure. I've only been like really rewatching this show. I'll say myself, like as far as I've been recording on these episodes, I've only rewatched a couple like episodes ahead of any given one that I've just recorded, and like my criticisms of Maddie's behavior are like related to like how she acts in these particular episodes. But I will say that there, like, she does become redeemed in a lot in my eyes. Like by the end of this season, like she really has a lot of character growth. I mean, and like later on, still like act like like somewhat ignorantly, but and like a bit immature, but has a lot, like grows a lot in terms of like treating people better. Yeah. Anything else you wanna share, or opinions,
Nope, just
or
thanks
just
for
things in
having
general?
me on the show, and thanks for introducing me to the show. It was a pretty fun watch.
Of course, yeah. I was so glad to have you on. This has definitely been the most fun I've had with one of these episodes thus far, and I'm looking forward to continuing, and like having hopefully more guests on, and bringing new perspectives in, and maybe having you back at some point. We'll see. Um,
Yay!
but uh, I'm so glad that you've enjoyed this process, and I know it took a lot of like technical difficulties and
It
things
sure
and like
did.
scheduling to figure this out, but it's been great. It's been so great having you on, and I hope that comes across to the listeners, having a more enjoyable time with this episode as well. So with that, our next episode coming up is called Maxical. Um, so the and spoiler alert, that's another bit of plot business that's introduced in like the last minute of that episode. um, the, so that's a running theme here. But we'll explore things further when we come back in the next episode of EveRe-Watch Way. And in the meantime, you can follow and rate the show on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts, and follow me on Facebook, and hopefully I'm working on starting a Blue Sky page for EveRe-Watch Way. So until next time, I hope you all have an excellent week. Take care of yourselves, stay safe, and finally, best magical wishes.
Everybody.
Woo!